You're watching the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Peterson. We got some brand new trade rumors with NFL free agency getting closer and closer in that windshield. The tampering period opens up on Monday. However, those moves can't be finalized technically until Wednesday afternoon. But Monday, noon Eastern, man, things are going to be flying all across the league. We're going to start in Philadelphia with some trade rumors on A.J. Brown. Then we're going to head over to Cincinnati, talk about some free agency rumors involving the Baltimore Ravens and Trey Hendrickson. We're going to wrap things up with a possible reunion tour for Broncos guard and former Ravens guard Ben Powers. Real quickly, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because as the Ravens rumors heat up, we'll continue to pump out content. NFL free agency, like I said, next week, going to be a blast. We'll be live for it. We're 8 subs away from 45.8K, 208 subs away from 46,000. Help us out. Subscribe to the channel. Adam Schefter is the one who reported it earlier this morning that the Chicago Bears are working to finalize a trade that would send wide receiver DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. Compensation still is being discussed in the trade, cannot be processed until the new league year begins, but both sides are pushing to make it happen. We start there because going into today, there were a few teams that were interested, reportedly, in possibly trading for A.J. Brown. The Ravens were one of them, the Bills were one of them, and the Patriots were another. Well, the Bills made that move to go get DJ Moore, meaning they are not in on the A.J. Brown sweepstakes. Jeff McLane reported that the Bills checked in with the Eagles about their wide receiver, from what I understand, and then he mentioned the Ravens specifically. Patriots, Ravens, most likely potential partners, especially as I understand it, if the Eagles are inclined to only deal him with AFC teams. Well, then the trade package came in of what the Bills sent Chicago to get DJ Moore. And they sent him a second-round pick. And Buffalo kind of screwed the Baltimore Ravens doing that. Because if the Chicago Bears received a second-round pick for DJ Moore, then ultimately that guaranteed that the Eagles are going to look for nothing less than a first-rounder for A.J. Brown. Because they're going to look at that and say, A.J. Brown is a better player. He's more dominant than DJ Moore is. You just got a second. We're easily going to be able to get a first if we even want to deal him. Adam Schefter with a little bit more on the rumors. I don't believe there's a chance in hell that the Eagles would move A.J. Brown unless it included a first-round pick. And even then, I don't think they're all that interested in moving on from him. I think that earlier in this morning, there was a chance. Now, maybe it was a snowball's chance in hell, but like Lloyd Christmas said in Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance. Well, not anymore. After that trade went down between Buffalo and Chicago, A.J. Brown's going to stay put in Philadelphia. And if anybody gives him a first rounder, it's going to be the Patriots because I promise you, Eric DeCosta is not doing that. He loves draft picks far too much, and I would argue that the first pick overall is not worth it for A.J. Brown unless you get like a second in return, and then maybe you can make me think about it. But look, man, I wouldn't do a first rounder for A.J. Brown at his age with that contract, and I promise you, Eric DeCosta is not going to either. Would you trade a first-round pick for A.J. Brown? Give me a yes or give me a no down below in the comment section. Don't go anywhere. We're about to talk about Trey Hendrickson. But real quick, a word from our sponsor. Before we continue on with the video, here's what I'm looking to trade on Polymarket. For tonight's Pistons game, Polymarket is giving Detroit a 41% chance to win against the Spurs, and I think the value there is way too good. The Pistons have Cade Cunningham, who recently has been playing as one of the best players in the NBA, and they're a great road team as well. For those reasons, I'm taking Detroit at 41%. $100 wins you $243 if the Pistons take the dub. With Polymarket, you can trade in and out on momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once Detroit takes the lead or even gets close, I could either ride it all the way out or I could sell early. For example, if you buy at 41% and sell at just 70%, you snag a cool $171 payout. I'm keeping an eye on the second half run, as Detroit is top half in the league in second half points per game with 56.9. You can't do this with traditional sports books. So get started today. Polymarket is illegal in all 50 states. Download the app now to get to the top of the wait list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments. Easton Butler is the one who had the scoop that apparently the Colts and the Ravens are expected to be interested in pending free agent Trey Hendrickson, per source. Now, if you're wondering who Easton Butler is, he's a smaller insider for the Green Bay Packers, but he picks up scoops all across the National Football League. He actually is a pretty solid follow if you haven't already followed him on Twitter. Very well connected. Again, smaller guy, so he's not going to have quite the name recognition, but still a trustworthy source nonetheless. And when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens apparently being interested in Trey Hendrickson, I've got some mixed emotions about this. Like, first off, obviously, Trey Hendrickson's a beast, okay? The name value is there. But I also look at the fact that he played 7 games in 2025 due to a hip injury, okay? That's kind of red flag number 1. Second red flag is the fact that he is 31 years old and will turn 32 this season. So 32 years old, coming off of a hip injury, and he's looked at as one of the highest free agent targets, which means most likely he's going to expect somewhat of a high contract. Like, I don't love that. But I also love the thought of Trey Hendrickson being on the Ravens defensive line because it needs help. Flat out, it needs guys that consistently get to the quarterback. Pressure, sack, whatever it is. Trey Hendrickson has done that for the entirety of his career. So those are my mixed emotions. If it is a cheap-ish deal, obviously it's not going to be a cheap deal. It's Trey Hendrickson. Then I'm in, man. I am in. Give me a defensive line full of a Jesse Minter coach, second-year Mike Green, Trey Hendrickson, Nadi Madubuike, Travis Jones. That is a good 4 right there. You just add some depth to it. Oh, it's beautiful. But I don't want to overpay for it. So I would not be interested in getting in a bidding war for a 32-year-old edge rusher, 31-year-old edge rusher that just basically missed the entirety of last season with a hip injury, if you understand. Do you want Hendrickson to land in Baltimore? If you do, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video for me. Manifest it, ladies and gentlemen, by liking the show. Let's talk about Ben Powers now, because there could be a possible reunion on the horizon with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's first kind of start this with a trade report on Ben Johnson that we got from who was it? Jeremy Fowler earlier in the week. He said 2 offensive linemen to potentially be included in trades are Green Bay's Elton Jenkins and Denver's Ben Powers. Both have large cap hits and potential value. Now, I'll be honest with you. I would not trade for Ben Powers. It kind of falls in a similar category as to Trey Hendrickson, as a guy who is getting a little bit older and who was dealing with injuries. Now, obviously, Trey Hendrickson far more dominant in his position group than Ben Powers is at this stage in his career. But another reason I wouldn't trade for him is because I just think at the end of the day, Denver is going to end up cutting him. I think it makes the most sense for them, right? He started this season as their starting guard, and then he dealt with some injuries. Their rookie came in, played really, really good football, and whether he's a pre- or post-June 1st cut, they're saving a good chunk of change. They designate him pre-June 1st, 8.4. Post-June 1st, that's 12.7 million. So I think at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, Ben Powers is going to get released. If that is the case, then I would do that signing in an instant. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would not blink. I would put pen to paper to give this team, to give this offensive line a little more stability than they have right now. Because I've already kind of come to acceptance, I should say, that Tyler Linderbaum is going to be gone. So you have a question mark at center. No Daniel Faalele, no Andrew Voorhees. But that means you have a question at right guard, and you have a question at left guard. I get it. Emory Jones Jr. is going to be in one of those 2 spots, but it's going to be year 2. He didn't start a single game last year. That is a question mark, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you just answer one of those with a guy like Ben Powers or like an Isaac Seumalo, Elijah Vera Tucker, like we talked about, or we were going to talk about this weekend, then, man, that makes everything so much easier. But Powers, I think he's a guy that's going to get cut pretty soon. What's the percent chance that the Ravens have a Ben Powers reunion? Scale it for me, 1 to 100 down below in the comment section. 100, obviously, that means you think it's the most likely. 0 or 1, meaning you don't think it's going to happen. we're going to get out of here, but appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. It has been a busy week. It's not over. We're going to continue to have videos coming all weekend long. I'll tell you this. I already prepped a doc and a thumbnail for a Lamar Jackson extension because I am hoping and praying and pleading that happens sometime over the next 48, 72 hours. And when it does, we'll have it covered. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications. Free agency is going to be a blast. We'll be right here for every second of it. And we'll see you next time.